Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video. As you might see, we're on Dakar 2024 and I'm a guest of Toyota. And rather than just reviewing what's happening on the race this year, I wanted also to have a look at the Land Cruiser. And they've got the 200 version and the new V6 twin turbo 300 version you see behind me. We've been driving the last couple of days and it's been very interesting. Now, to explain to viewers outside the UK and Europe, we don't get the Land Cruiser in Europe or the UK. Toyota no longer sell the car in our regions. Reason being, I'm afraid, the CO2 police in Brussels demand that Toyota hits a CO2 target, a fleet average as it's termed, and a twin turbo V6 big Land Cruiser means they would have to sell an awful lot of Yaris's to be able to sell one Land Cruiser in Europe. Hence, they've decided not to introduce the car at all. But whenever I do a video on a Land Rover product, Range Rover Defender, the comments, if not thousands comment, well, what about the Land Cruiser? So this is my ideal opportunity to review the new Land Cruiser 300. Now let's go and have a closer look. Well, styling has changed on the new 300. There is no mistaking this giant grille. I mean, it always was a fairly imposing vehicle, but it's got more imposing with this version. Also, surprises to me, having not really experienced the Land Cruiser, is, one, the size, and it's a big vehicle. It's 2.6, 2.7 tons, and it's on coil springs. Just going to check if I can see those. Coil spring, you just see it there. Most cars now have moved to air springs so they can adjust the sort of air suspension to get different ride heights and things. Not so on the Land Cruiser. It continues on the versions we've been driving anyway on coil springs. The V6 twin turbo engine has had a dramatic effect on horsepower and particularly torque. Having driven the 200, we did about 400 kilometers in it yesterday. It has this V8. We were driving 4.7 litre versions of the V8, and when we've done a lot of off-road. When you're in sand and things, you want that sort of low-down punch, and it didn't quite have it. It was quite breathless. It got through. Well, it's a Land Cruiser, of course it's going to get through, but this new twin turbo V6 version dramatically changes the torque. It's, from reference, I'll put it up, but I think it's 650 Newton meters, which is about 30% more than the old 4.6 V8 produced. So a big difference. Styling, yes, styling is big and chunky. It's very distinctive, and that is not its appeal. Toyota do a lot of V6s. I checked that whether my Emira was the same V6 as this. This is a 3.5 litre, so's the Lotus Emira. No, completely different engine. This is a long stroke engine specific for this car, for the torque. The Lotus Emira is based on a very different V6 Toyota engine. But yeah, that to me is the biggest change with this car, just how it behaves. It has that instant amount of torque. You notice it within 100 metres of getting into the 300 if you've been driving the 200 for some time. Instant grunt, off you go. And there's a slightly coarser engine note. You do hear the engine more in the V6, but it's a good sound and you welcome the power. It makes a big difference. So what I'll do now, I'll jump inside, give you a tour around the cabin. Quite a dramatic update in here. New trim levels. It just looks a bit sharper than it did before. If you've been in the 200, different instruments, different dash. I'm going to start it up because it's a bit warm today and I want the air conditioning on. There we go, we'll all start up. So yeah, different dash as you can see there. Digital instruments. Still get oil pressure dial and battery as well. That shows its roots, that this is a functional vehicle and you're going to take it into way into the middle of nowhere, and you want to know about engine health, even though it's probably the most reliable engine going. Well, Toyota's Land Cruiser, the V8 is. It'd be very interesting how this engine, we don't know yet because it's a brand new engine. I say mode choice on here, you just go between normal, sport and eco, and sat nav, there's all sorts of stuff on here. If I go to the home screen, yeah, you can have smart link, you can have compass up if you're going off-road, where you're going. There's all the times, all sorts of stuff. Yes, search mosque. That is an unusual feature that we don't ever, I've never seen that in the UK, but comes on this Saudi Arabia car I'm driving. So gear selector, very much manual in this, high and low switch there, and we've got the diff locks on here. You can do crawl things. This is a feature I just quite enjoyed. See this center console here? That's a fridge in there. We've got bottles of water in there, very good. But if you're a passenger, you can open it from the other side. Don't know why that hugely appeals to me. That's just someone who's thought how cars get used. A really neat touch. Grab handles everywhere, even on the driver's side. This car has a sunroof as well, which we've been using. So yeah, on the wheel, yeah, cruise control, but no radar cruise. You'll notice up here there's no cameras, there's no radar sensing at the front, so this has traditional cruise control rather than radar cruise, adaptive cruise. In the back, yeah, there's it's not quite as spacious. You can see it's more Defender-like to me than Range Rover-like. It's not the uber luxury sort of feel to it. It's just nicely trimmed, nicely put together, and it will go on for the next 100 years. That's what Toyota want their Land Cruiser to be like. I'm going to just sit in the back and just see how much space there is. Quite a lot of room back here. I think this is in recline position. Yes, you can change the back rake in here. In the back here, controls, yeah, we've got auto, amazing air conditioning in this car, as you'd imagine. 2 USB points. I don't know why we've got these iPad things in the back. They don't really go with this car, but it's just a different sort of feel in the back here. It's a utilitarian rather than Range Rover-esque sort of feel, which is what Toyota, that's the use that the Land Cruiser is. It's a fantastic tool for general amazing use when you're in this sort of landscape. That's what Land Cruiser is all about. Bit of wood trim here, plenty of pockets, but my legs, if you look at my legs, I'm surprised how high my knees are, and that's because the Land Cruiser sticks with a separate chassis. It is not a utilitarian design. That's the big difference, I think, between Land Rover product, Mercedes product. Everything now is everything apart from Ineos Grenadier. Those dedicated off-road vehicles still stick with a ladder chassis, and the Land Cruiser is one of them. If I look underneath, there is a live axle underneath there, which you don't normally find. Actually, I might as well come and show you that if I just get out. Is that another bike coming through? We'll just have a little look. Yes, we have another bike coming through. This is a live stage. Now he's stopped because he knows there's a waypoint very close to here. You might see him look down at his dash. Yeah, he's being followed. The waypoint is literally just over there. So that's why they're not actually going flat out down there. They can hear a bleep that's come up on screen, and they know they have to hit the waypoint. So that's what's going on there. Yeah, if we look underneath here, there is a separate chassis construction there. And if I go underneath, completely different. You'll see there's a live axle. Where can I show that? Yeah, you can see the live axle there and the centre diff. Hopefully, I'll turn it upside down. Try that. There we are. You can see it now. Yeah. And the other thing about this car is you get a proper spare tyre under there as well. So yeah, all good stuff for off-road driving. Yeah, this is tailgate on this version. There we are, touch that, all electric, and then in the back, massive amount of space, and then you've got the 2 flip-up seats to make it the 7-seater should you wish to have it there. The instructions there, that's how that works. On the 200, they're actually on the side, they flip down the other way, but now you need these because you want the safety belts to operate as they do. I ought to just point this out to, well, European dudes. We don't get a tow hitch like this. This is what you get out here, and this is more like, to me, it's like a military tow hitch, and they have the ring that goes in there, but rather than the 50mm bore hitch that we get in Europe and the UK. So yeah, there's a tour around the car. Next thing, take it for a drive. Oh, we've had quite a day. I'm just in quite deep sand here. We're staring at Elephant Rock. I'll add a photo now so you can see it. And yeah, there's a fantastic viewing area that is deep sand, and we've just gone up there. I didn't actually get to drive away from the lunch stop. We stayed longer than we expected because it was such a good vantage point. Then I took over for a little bit on road, stopped here, swapped drivers again, and yeah, just go through this car. I'm going to wait until it's a little bit smoother before telling you a bit more about the car. We'll just get out of here, go find some tarmac. It's been quite a day actually. A good day though, amazing day. Right, booting it out of here. Yeah, quite a different sound and quite a different push as well, with that much extra horsepower. It's about 150 horsepower and 200 newton meters of torque. Quite a big jump in horsepower over the V8 in the 200 we were driving yesterday. And yeah, it does define this vehicle. Any existing owner of a 200 jumping the 300 will notice the difference, as well as the different sort of trim inside. Yeah, on the trim, I find these seats less comfortable than the ones in the 200 that were exceptional. They're armchair-like. These are slightly tighter. They're leather. It might have been a difference of that, but still a very comfortable car and very easy. Quiet, just like the other one. We measured the sound in both of them. They were as near as damn it the same. And it's a very relaxed car to eat miles in. Slightly more wind noise we noticed in the 300 over the 200, but doesn't seem to register on the sound. Other things you notice, gearbox. So many gears, 10 gears in this automatic gearbox. Extraordinary. I don't know another 10-speed automatic gearbox. But again, it means it's just always, once you've got it on boost, it stays in boost, and each gear steps in and you just don't notice it. It's extremely good at disguising gear changes. Also, yeah, interesting off-road, there is a distinct character, as I mentioned before, with that turbo boost instant torque, but there's still something strange going on with the traction. Even when we turned it off, we did notice flashing every now and then, so there seems to be just in the background another one. And it's just, it adds more power, perhaps more than you want on occasions in sand. I'd like the gentle delivery of the V8, but it just wasn't quite as much grunt as I hoped for. So it's middling. Choosing between the two off-road really hard. I think the extra grunt of this would count in the end of it. It always gets you out of jail if you've got extra torque, and the weight's really the same. It's just a slightly different driving experience from the really relaxed way that the 200 deals with off-road and sand. The other thing you notice between the 200 and 300, the 300 just a bit sharp on the steering. I don't know if it's the same ratio rack, might be tyres that make the difference, but it's just choppier. Spring rates feel higher. There was a softness to the 200. The 300 just feels that bit sharper. On road, that's a welcome thing. Maybe off-road it's less welcome, it's just a bit rougher riding perhaps over the 200. But I qualify that with saying the 200 we drove had 63,000 kilometres on it. This 300 has 19,000 kilometres. So maybe it was a bit more worn in with the 200, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's time to go through some likes and dislikes with this car. And as ever, I always start with the dislikes. I think, for me personally, I'm just not sure about the style of the car. I like cars that look good. And I like the Land Cruiser has its own identity, but it's not a great looking car. Now, looks are a very personal thing. That is my thoughts towards it. Other things, I think they could still up the sort of luxury, and I think it is a very mechanical device. It's a closer rival. It's like, it reminds me of the Ineos Grenadier, and it's this purposeful, almost, it's a really nice Discovery 4 or new Defender type rival rather than Range Rover rival. It's just a different character. It's not a criticism, it's just the character of the car. Then I'm surprised for a off-road car that there hasn't got any form of adjustable suspension height, and it looks pretty vulnerable at the front. It seems to ride lower to me at the front. You'd think you'd hit the front valance more often than we actually have, but I'm surprised it doesn't have a bit more ground clearance. Likes, well then it just does the job superbly well. You can see the legend of Land Cruiser, where it comes from, having lived with it. It has a very easygoing nature, just boss-like, and you just sense that. It's just the quality of build, what it does. Yeah, it's definite Land Cruiser characteristic. I also like the extra crunch of this engine. I would choose the 300 over the 200. It's quite a lot more money, I suppose, because it's the new car, and also we don't know if the legendary reliability is going to be as good as the V8 version, but knowing Toyota's track record, I'm absolutely sure it will. Other likes with it, just the usability, the space in it. It's all designed to do a job, and it does that extremely well. So there you go. My conclusion on this car, it does live up to the legend. I can see why it works so well in areas like we are in South Africa, in Australia, that sort of thing. It's a trustworthy vehicle from Toyota that goes on forever. You could leave it to your grandchildren. You know it'll still be working decades to come, and that is to be celebrated. It's almost the simplicity of it is what makes it so good and so capable. So there you go, there's my conclusion on the Land Cruiser 300 SX. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming on very soon.